This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Real quick before we start, I forgot to mention this on the original recording. If you guys want to see the re-upload or kind of archive of the event itself on my Twitch channel, they should be all in the archives there. So if you're subscribed to me on Twitch, you can have access to that. And then also Brian from Stage Zero is re-uploading them to his YouTube channel as well. So if you want a link to that, it's in the description for the first round, which is available right now. And then also just big shout outs to Brian for being the production side of this stream too. I really do appreciate that. And being able to just focus on commentary is a lot easier than having to do both. So I do appreciate that. And that's it. So let's go into the video. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. And today we have a top 32 breakdown of core TCG's webcam Digimon Ultimate Cup that happened this past Saturday, which is yesterday, because guess what? The Ultimate Cup weekend is over. I've been doing so much dang talking about Digimon in the past 2 days. It is Sunday night right after the Carta event too, so thank goodness it is over so I can take a tiny little Digimon break, but not before doing this breakdown for you guys. So real big shout outs to Core for not only hosting the event, but also giving me these deck lists and also letting me do the stream. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Also special shout out to specifically Yomi for also being head judge, but also being able to put in all these deck lists. She inputted them all for me and for you guys, which I totally couldn't do in a timely fashion since I was doing the card event as well. So big shout outs and appreciations to her for that specifically. And also, if you guys want another event, Core is doing a regional on June 11th, which is webcam. So make sure to follow their Facebook to get notifications of when the signups for that go. Obviously, these signups are going super fast for these online events. They are super popular right now. And so make sure to put that in your calendar and watch out for updates for that. Going into the top 32, oh boy, I can already see top comment on the video. I know it's late to make that joke, but oh boy, Blue Hybrid's doing well. And it is. It is doing super duper well. I've said Blue Hybrid so many times this past weekend. I've said I've said hybrid for game enough to retire based on a nickel per saying. It is crazy how good this deck is doing right now. And hopefully, I mean, these are essentially like the last events that we're doing. I think the regional at the end of May might not be using, or we'll probably be using the BT7 format, but man, it is definitely time for something new. I think Blue Hybrid is definitely the best deck. I don't think people can contend that anymore. Having so much, like in the top 8, it got 50%. Top 16, it got 9/16. Top 32, it got 17/32s. What, like, it is over the half so much right now, and it is just doing super well. So we're just going to go over the decks. We're going to go through each one. If we look at not Blue Hybrid, the other half, we do have a good kind of fun diversity from there. Purple's doing super duper well, and everything else. Also, spoilers, I didn't mention this. David Lago, who won the core event, also just won the Carta event like 2 hours ago. So he has like a monopoly on these Paladin modes right now. So congrats to him for taking the deck. And I don't know, I'll talk about his list specifically and go into other things. But yeah, we're just going to go into this. I should be doing the Carta top breakdown as well this week, so look out for that. And let's just go into these lists. So first, we do have David's list, which, I mean, we'll check tomorrow, I guess, but these should be the exact same list as he was running the other day for Core and for Carta. Really strong, as always. I'd say the choices that he made for his list are a Zulong at 1, Kendo Gururumon, a Mimi, and like an OG Mat Tamer, which means like the other 45 cards are like what everyone else is running, which is fine. And I want to just say this out front, like obviously Blue Hybrid's best deck format, right? You guys are already commenting on the comments. I get it, right? Like I got so many when I was doing the finals and I was doing like made a post like, oh, finals are up. Like everyone was posting like, oh, it's Blue Hybrid in finals. Wow, what a surprise. Like so it's just, it got old fast. But I do want to say, obviously this is a strong deck. You need a strong player to get there. Obviously David is a super strong player because he went undefeated over 17 games over 20 hours, right? That is absurd. And so being able to be that consistent with the deck means something. And I think it's something where obviously the deck has these tiny changes specifically for him, but being able to pilot it to the max consistency and everything else is really big, really big. So I don't know. That's my thing. I don't shame people also for playing best deck and format. If you're going to an event that you paid money and spent time to go to, you should probably play the deck that you want to win with, right? So I normally try to play what I want, but I don't think it's a bad thing of wanting to play the best deck in the format, right? All right, that rant's over. Congratulations to David. I'll probably see you tomorrow in the card list breakdown, and we'll go from there. Next up, we do have the red hybrid. I'd say red hybrid got a little bit more of a showing than I was expecting. And I think the biggest reason for it is that it's super good. And like, it's kind of what like Jesmon does. Spoilers, and not really spoilers because you guys saw, there's no Jesmons in this top 32, which is really weird because Savior Huck, is getting limited to 1, and it's seeing no competitive tops right now. So I don't know, but red hybrid is fine. I think like the big thing about the deck in itself is that it is able to do some big swings. Obviously this Aldemon being able to have the inheritable to prevent option cards from triggering is huge, and being able just to do like a big swing with Ancient Greymon, do 5 damage, and then do Omnimon on top of it or something else, I think is warrant. Like it wins games, right? And something that blue hybrid, I think it does have like some good, it has really good security if you don't kill them all at once. If you just kind of do 1 or 2 swings a turn, they have great tamers, they have great option cards that can just disrupt you. But if you are just going all in all at once, they have very little to recover. They can only kind of proactively stun you from doing more damage, right? So if you're doing this big old one shot and it does its work, then you can win against blue hybrid. That's my experience with it. And pretty much any other deck that kind of needs some setup and doesn't have like a lot of defense power. So like yellow hybrid would probably be okay against this, something like that. But yeah, it's just a really big punch, and which means that it is not consistent at getting that punch at times, and that's where it loses. But obviously, if you're good all day, you see your pieces and you're able to get through it. I think this deck can be super great and do a lot of damage. Atomic Inferno is a crazy card right now when there's so many hybrids. So I'm not surprised, like a deck that can take advantage of that card. Like hitting this card in security sometimes just wins you the game, which is really silly sometimes. So there we go. Next up, we do have, so this is Joshua. We're kind of like in the purple block, and I'd say like purple is like one of the best colors besides blue right now. It's probably second best color. So we have like a bunch of like purple decks of different kind of varieties. So we're just going to go through a good chunk of them since they are pretty unique. I'd say the first like kind of chunk are these like purple champion rush, or just rush in general, where you just try to take most of your power from your Eismons while they're still at 4. And I think Eismon is definitely a card that deserves to be limited to 1, even though it's not like the biggest problem in the meta. It will be, especially when we're in a meta where having level 4s out means something a lot more with DNA Digivolution and stuff. But, obviously having your scatter modes, and if they pop, you're able to get a lot of cycle with them. Gabumon with scatter mode on top of it is like the best friend, being able to mill and search through so much. And then normally you kind of have these kind of rush havers. So Ginkuamon promotes fantastic, especially because you can Digivolve this on top of Eismon for 1. Even if it just got played that turn, it will now have rush, so you can convert these Eismons into more damage. Cerebusmon is kind of the same thing, being able to swing, and then you can pop it with werewolf mode, and then you can get a rush swing here too. So that's kind of big. Being able to use your Dead or Alives to bring these Cerberus modes back to so for 8, and then you get 9 memory back by popping this, and then you also get a rush dude. So all that's kind of nice. You just kind of go from there. Like Analog Youth, you can cycle more, you can get more cards into your trash, and then from there you can get a lot of advantage. So obviously it doesn't have a lot of ways to get rid of any of the bigger dude threats, but we're in a meta right now where barely anyone goes into a level 7. And if they do, it's a Susanomon in the late game kind of thing. So that's kind of like the meta that we're in right now. And so if you're able to just do more damage to blue before they're able to react, you can have a chance at winning. So a lot of these kind of purple decks, and it really kind of depends, in my experience, how good your Eismons are. And if they're great, you're great. So Moving on, we do kind of have Lilith Loop. So this is just kind of a extension of the decks. It's more of like a mid-range combo version instead of an aggro version of the list. You'll see a lot of the same parts are the same, with the only difference having a high end. So Lilithmon can obviously do a lot of damage, and this is Jesse Spencer's list as well. I don't think I said that. Being able to get recursion off your Jack Rays, off your Callings from the Darkness, Death Claws, and then going from there. Win rate 60% is played because you're playing 4 Analog Youth. And then if you need to go into the old school combo with Zort, you totally can still. You can bring back your promotes. You can bring back your scatter modes, anything like that. You can even bring back your service modes, which means if you do have werewolf modes in your hand, you can hard cast them and get the rush there. So interesting deck. I think this is interesting where Lilithmon is right now. I don't think this deck is ever gonna go away forever, and but maybe next meta we'll change that. Next up, we do have kind of more of a Anubismon list. So this one's really interesting. It's still like, obviously it's still Eismon stuff, but you just have like a bunch of these bulky boys. You have like Lucimons that you can bring back with Anubismons to get your advantage from there. You also have Chaos Mode too, which, you can hard cast or play Chaos Mode off Dead or Alive, and you can go into Anubismon, which would bring back a Lucimon. So some interesting recursion there. Obviously not a lot of level 4s. You just have your Eismons. You can have like Rebellumon or Lady Devimon go on top of them. The fact that Scatter Mode also is only a 4 cost is kind of silly when you think about it. And then, I don't know, just a lot of options and everything else. So really interesting list, this one, particularly, which is why I kind of singled it out, and instead of having it like put it into either or. We also do have Richie's list too, which is like another. So we have like this list, which is like Anubismon, this one, which is like a mix, and then this one, which is more Cherubimon, which is really interesting. So this is really kind of more of the same thing as I said, though. The idea that Anubismon can bring back some good targets like Lucimon. This can also, well, this list isn't going into Chaos Mode, so never mind. But just the fact that Lucimon is powerful and Cherubimon can bring it back too eventually. Having your Zort defeats, which are fantastic in security still, and even just like hard digivolving this into something to be able to pop a tamer is kind of good right now too, since so many players are playing tamers and we're in such this hybrid meta. Neo Devimon to like, this is just like really hate against anything that has tamers and stuff. So this did get 6th place, which I believe means they went X1, so 8-1 with this list, which I would assume this has a somewhat good matchup against Blue Hybrid because of how it is and having the recovery and free play and stuff. And like the big thing about Blue is that it doesn't necessarily like pop cards very often. It just kind of stuns them, if anything. So if you're able to get advantage off like your Neo Devimon, or like this is sitting there, they're not going to be able to get rid of this very easily. They can really only stun it. And if they stun it, it's by going into their tamers. So having a deck that can go into Neo Devimon very easily, I think, is really nice. And then going into Cherubimon, this is probably, I don't know, I don't normally do tier lists, but this is like a tier 2-ish deck. It's one of my favorite lists, and if you can go into the Cherubimon, you like win most of the time with it. It's just getting there is very, very tough sometimes. And, being able to get the cards to get popped and everything else. I think for as much memory and time it takes to go up your chain, there are just better decks that exist. But when it goes off, it feels really, really good. So I understand why people run it. So yeah, this is Noah's list. He did get 8th with it, so probably got like a 801 record, or maybe like a 711, something like that record with it. So I don't know. This is close to the list I've run with it before. And when it goes off, it really does. But when it doesn't, it doesn't. So being able to get to your Cherubi is probably the most important thing, and all the setup you have to do to get your trash ready for the Cherubi is a little bit tricky to do. But once you get there, you feel really good with it. Next up, we have John Silvia's like yellow hybrid with the purple base. This has been kind of popular in the last little bit. It's just, purple has like a lot of good, pretty much just the Schwartz to be able to get the board clear and stuff, and pop your opponent's cards. But the interesting card that's missing based on my own experience is no Kari in this. We do have the one Mimi Tamer, but no Kari, which is really interesting since, I'd say a lot of players do like to have the Kari for their Tamer for, being able to get the extra memory and keep it your turn, or, prevent your opponent's turn from going for too long. So I would like to know the explanation for that. Obviously, Mimi is good, especially since you are playing a bunch of option cards yourself and your opponent's, playing some option cards. But yeah, a lot of board clear, specifically with like the Shine Gray. Dynasmon's doing a lot of work too. I did see a lot of matches where like I don't know if it was John specifically, but having 2 Dynasmons out on the board at the same time is incredibly strong. 2 Susanomons too, so even if the games go long, you do have ways to refill your deck and everything else. Especially since you're running 2 Dynasmons, you kind of need to run 2 Susanomons because you know trashing that top 6 is kind of impactful if you're trying to go for the long game, and just from there. So yeah, looking like a good list for what it is. I really do like yellow hybrids in general. I think it's a really strong kind of like mini engine that a lot of decks can go for, and just having like the sustainability it has, and then you can kind of use more with your rookies and stuff. I don't know. I don't think yellow hybrid's going away in BT8 based on my knowledge from it, and I really like the core and all the kind of splashability it has for it. So though it only got one actual place in this top 32, I think yellow hybrids, people are going to still be playing it. Next up, we do have Russell LaParre's. So this list is actually pretty sweet. I kind of like it. It's a blue-green version of green hybrid. We've been seeing a lot of the kind of red-green kind of Christmas Christmas hybrid version of it. And so I really like this list. And it's just capitalizing on the fact that blue has 2 of the best rookies in the game right now. Sayakomon and Modeki Betamon. Both are just great. The fact that blue has access to both is silly. Ice Wall is a heck of a card. Howling Memory Boost is really good. And Forbidden Trident is also honestly really, really good, especially when you're playing a list that kind of likes to swing a lot as it is. It's in a really good spot. This match was also on stream, and it was like one of the only losses it had, so I felt really bad about that, but I think this deck's super sick. I want to test it out myself and see my thoughts on it, and I think it's a great way to build green, because green has like so much. Like the green tamer stuff is really nice, that like recursion and being, doing stuff for lower memory costs than normal, but it doesn't always have like a good end game. So having blue kind of getting more of this control aspect, like 1 Nidhogg feels really great too. And the only thing about this is that you have to like Digivolve on top of you have to do like another level 4 Digivolve to get to Nidhogg, but if you do, you can get like a bunch of board clear for it. So I don't know. I like the deck. I think it's super fun, and congrats to Russell for getting top 4 with it. Next up, we have Jeffrey Kang's Gabubond, which, spoilers, he was doing super well in Carta. I think he got at least top 16, I believe, if not better with this list. Because he went 7-1 at the end of the day. So looking super good with this list. Obviously, Gabubond is like the pre-blue hybrid, since it had a lot of these blue hybrid cards already, but I think it's a good list for what it is. Matt can get a lot of extra memory and draw, which is nice, and just going through your chain. I mean, Gabubond is so fantastic, and especially in a set and like a meta where people aren't running like security cards that can deal with it, which means it can just do 3 damage for free, and really can just be fantastic at ending games if you need to. So I like this list too. I think it's a nice mix up for sure. And there we go. And last deck we're going to be covering today is Quentin's Glover's Diaboromon, which, spoilers, actually, so a little bit of lore. So Jeffrey and Carter, like a couple hours ago, was playing against Quentin on table 2, and he was the pair down because Quentin was X01, so 1 tie, and Quentin ended up winning it, especially since like traditionally I think Gabubond has a bad matchup against this deck just because it puts up so many blockers that it's difficult to kind of swing in with them. So I think Quentin got second with this list tomorrow on Carta. There might be some small differences between them, but there we go. That's so congrats to Quentin. He's been grinding. I don't think I've ever seen him play anything besides Diaboromon, especially right now in a set where there's no new cards. It's just a meta call of doing TK and Kari instead, and that's about it. So really interesting. I want to know like how he did, and honestly what his matchups were too. I'd be surprised if this has like I don't know. It's silly to me that this has a good matchup against blue hybrid, but if you do get the chains and everything else you need to set up for it, you can generate a whole lot of blockers, and then from there, like blue hybrid doesn't have a good way of getting rid of a lot of them. You can stun blockers every once in a while, but the fact that it can apparently do. I would assume like it had a positive win rate against blue hybrids this weekend. So that is that. So anyways, here are all the lists again. Thanks to Core for doing the event, for giving me these lists. Shout out specifically to Yomi for inputting all these lists. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys appreciate it too. If you do appreciate it, like and subscribe to this video. I know it's like 20 minutes later, but you can still do it. It's not too late. If you're in this part of the video, you probably like my content enough to want to see more of it and give me those thumbs up. So that is that. And I don't think I have anything else besides I want to go to bed, and I probably will very, very shortly. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.